Hello, Yuki Bandits. Welcome back. We've got Three Little Birds, Bob Marley. A very classic song, fun song to play on the ukulele. Reggae, I think, transpires really well to the ukulele just purely because it's a fun, happy genre of music. And ukulele is a fun, happy instrument. And if you're playing in a social gathering like this summer when we all get together, hopefully, and we can jamboree, it's going to be one that we will obviously belt out at some point. And ukulele clubs all the way around the world play this song in their repertoire for good reason. It's a good one to add in, and it's quite a simple song really, but it makes a big difference if you can get the rhythm right and you can get this reggae rhythm, and that's not always that easy to start with. So I'm going to explain about that, and then we'll look at the little riff, which is, I believe, played on organ. It's a really cool sound. And so yeah, so let's look at reggae rhythm. To start with, reggae rhythm is offbeat rhythm, and what we do for that is we focus on playing not on the main pulse where we'd normally play on the 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to focus on playing in between those beats. So we're going to play in between the 1, 2, 3, 4 on what we call the and beat. So if I go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and I'm going to play on the ands only. So we'll just show you a very basic exercise doing that. And what you want to do really to start off with, if you've never done reggae rhythm before, or if you find it a real struggle, is don't worry about keeping it consistent in time. Just worry about counting the beat and playing off the beat. So if I go 1 and that beat there I just played, or the strum I played, was in between 1 and that's on the and. So 1 and then try and count to 4 doing the same thing. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So now I'm not playing on the 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm using an upstroke because normally you would strum down on the beat, and the difference with reggae is because we're playing in between. We're playing, if you were playing 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, it's like you're doing that when you do your normal strumming on C. 1, 2, 3 and 4 and. We're focusing on those and beats and we're not playing any of those downstrokes. So very slowly, just again, we're going to go 1 I'll miss the strings this time so you can emphasize the where the beat would be. So it'd be like miss, up, miss, up, miss, up, miss, up. And with a count, you can say it like that to start with if that's what helps you get the mechanics right. So miss, up, miss, up, miss, up, miss, up. But then you apply the beat. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and I'm still going down on that beat, but obviously keeping that arm movement, I'm missing the string. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that's what you want to aim for, even if it's a slightly out of time to start with. So 1 and 2 and 3, and that's okay, because when you start off you're just getting used to not playing on that first beat, and it can be really unfamiliar and quite hard to start with. But you get that consistent 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Want to do my shoulders now, but you you get where I'm going. That beat you can start to hear as I get quicker, more fluent and more consistent. It sounds like reggae, and that's what we want to aim for. So that would be the very, very basic essence of what you need to apply to the song. If you can do that, at least it will sound like a reggae song. If you play on the downstrokes, which you can do, it doesn't sound right. It doesn't sound like a reggae song. But if you've got some of you doing the offbeats and some of you doing downbeats, that's not so bad. You can get some people highlighting the offbeat while some people keep a different rhythm underneath. That's fine. But ideally, I'd like all of you to have a go and trying to focus your main effort on counting 1, 2, 3, 4 and playing on those and beats in between. You can do it a number of ways. You can do down, up, and then miss those down. So miss, up, or you can do the count. Whatever works for you, as long as you're playing it in the right place. So that is a very basic exercise to get you started on reggae rhythm and what reggae rhythm involves. And because it's unique to reggae music, it's kind of any reggae song you get, if you apply that rhythm, it will sound correct. It will sound right and have the right feel and vibe. Okay, so we're going to look at the rhythm involved in the song for Three Little Birds, which is that's what we just looked at is still there. We've still got 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's what these little squiggly lines here are. These are rests, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and they're quaver rests or eighth note rests. And what that means is just basically that we're counting 1, 2, 3, 4 on these rests, and then in between we're playing these note values here. I'm not going to go into the sight reading part of the music. You want to learn how to play the rhythm, but it's a good thing to get used to seeing these diagrams. You slowly start to get accustomed to certain symbols that will help you as you get better understand how rhythms are linked and timing works, especially within a bar. So we've got 4, 4, 4 beats to the bar, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we've got our rest, which is the 1, 2, 3, 4 beat. And now we're going to play off that beat or in between, and we're going to put a quick down and up stroke in between. So literally I'm going to call it as I see it. We're going to go rest. So there's a rest, the first rest. I'm going to literally do this first part here, rest, and then I'm going to play a down up stroke on a C chord. So rest, down up. That's all you need to do to start with. Rest, down up. Okay, do it again. Rest, down up. Rest, down up. So get used to doing that first, saying the rest, playing the down up, and then what you need to do is do it consistently so there's no gap. So it's rest, down up, 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 rest, down up. You can see my arm doing a little micro movement as if I was going to do a downstroke on that beat. You know, it doesn't really matter if you pause it. Rest, down up, rest, down up, rest, down up, rest, down up. The reason why you'd want to bounce and keep that arm movement, it just keeps everything more fluent, the rhythm flowing. I'm feeling the rhythm more, I'm feeling that downbeat, but I'm not playing it. But at the moment, obviously, you're focusing on the prime thing is the count, 1, 2, 3, 4, and play on the offbeat. So 1 is what you want to start with. So what we did before exercise, which is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and the difference is we're doing exactly the same thing. We're just going to put a down up in between every one. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. When you got that, switch the F. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there you go. So I'm just playing the C and F chord, and then I'm playing between those beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 1, 2, 3, and a 4, and a 1, and 2, and a 3, and a 4. It's not easy to get to the point where you can play between the chords fluently and keep that time at first, because you'll want to revert back to playing on the beat because you're used to playing that. But if you do those exercises like I said at the beginning, where you count the 1, 2, 3, 4 and focus on playing up and play that consistently and start joining the chords up, that's when it will start to be easier and it'll feel more natural. But if you can focus on that as an exercise, great, that would be really good, and that will add a lot of coolness to our Three Little Birds song. So that's the reggae rhythm, that's what's involved. We've got the down up strokes, rests, obviously I talked about the rests, and counting those beats as well. So there's no more needed on that for the moment. Work on those exercises, and if there's any more elaborations or anything else you want, obviously you can let me know, and I can always do another video on it in more detail, or pick another song and do the same thing. There's a lot of cool reggae songs out there that this rhythm, this Three Little Birds rhythm, will work with. And either of those two rhythms I said, whether it's just the upstroke or whether it's the down upstroke, will work with this song and with any reggae song. It will create a reggae feel. So anyway, that's that done. We're going to look at the riff now. So the riff, which is really cool, is a few notes of the C scale, which I've done in a previous video. One of my other videos I talked about playing the C scale notes and what have you. And this is really for the hardcore people that want to add a little bit more to it, or playing over the top of the C chord. So you hear it at the beginning of the song, you hear. And that's really cool. So you can do that within the chord. It's a little bit tricky. So I'm just playing like, I'm just playing the strums of the notes to make it a bit fuller. So you can do it while playing the other root. It's a bit trickier doing that way. You know, if you want to be a bit fancy pants, if you've got the riff, you can start adding it to the chords as well. But just looking at that riff on its own, first of all, we're just going to look at what the notes are, where the frets are, how to play them. So you see we've got 0, 2, and that is on this C string, the 3rd string. So I've got my C string and 0, 2, and what I'm doing, you can play these straight, which means you're plucking however you want to pluck. So by the way, when you're plucking single strings, a lot of different musicians prefer different techniques. Some use picks, some like using their thumb a lot, some like plucking up, plucking down, plucking through. That gives a lot of projection when I push through the string. It's a very classical technique, and then obviously you've got more sort of jazzy or flamenco techniques where you might use your thumb, giving a warmer, softer sound, or a pluck technique, which you hear on a lot of like bass instruments, as well as some different styles of music might like that as well. The pluck is quite cool, so you get a little bit of a snap to it. So experiment, whatever works for you. It really doesn't matter, as long as you play it in time, you play the notes right, then it will sound good. So no problem there what you decide. I might do different things without thinking about it. So don't get obsessed with whatever one I use. Just use whatever you feel comfortable with to play the notes. Focus on these fingers in this hand. So 0, 2 on that C, and I'm hammering on rather than plucking it. So I'm going to play that C note, and then I'm going to use the force of my finger to play the note O, 2, which is C and D, C, D, and I'm going to play those two notes. That's me hammering on. If you get a dead sound, if you're not coming down hard enough or fast enough, if you're getting that, you're not pushing down, you're not coming down hard enough with enough force to reproduce the note. And it could be that your fingers are a little bit soft. No, I doubt it'll be that. I doubt you'll all have soft fingers by now. You'll have quite tough fingers. But it probably is. If you're not coming down forceful enough or quick enough, you're dead in it. So it has to be quite a forceful. It's called a hammer. You're thinking about hammering down. That's what we want to get. And then the next note, 0, 3 on the string below. I'm using like, so imagine it's finger fret. So I've got 2nd finger on the 2nd fret, 3rd finger on the 3rd fret. I mean, it's not a big deal, but that would probably be the best thing for you. So 2nd finger on the O2, and then when I do 0, 3, I'm going to pluck both of these. So I'm just picking those. I'm just using my 1st finger, what I would use to strum. I'm just plucking those, and I'm just going to push through the note to get a bit of projection on the note. 0, 3. There you go, 0, 3, and that's on the E string. So the hammer on. There you go, 0, 2, O, 3. So O, 2, hammer on, O, 3, pluck. Then there's a little bit of a length on that note, that little curved line, you see the little symbol there, that's telling me that it's called a tie. It means that note rings for a little bit, and then you play open again, which you're going to pluck, and the last two notes you're going to pluck on the 2 on the back on the C string, and a pull off, a P for pull off, which is the idea is you want to ever so slightly as you come off the strings flick it with your finger, not like an excessive amount, because you don't want to bend the string out of tune. If you just lift off, you will get a pull-off effect. And if you were playing on an electric guitar or something that was more resonant, then it wouldn't matter so much. But certainly with an acoustic instrument, you want to put a little bit more of a flick to get that pull really projecting that next note. So you can see how, so practice, play the 2 on that. So this is the D note on the C string. And then I'm just going to flick the finger off. You can see it in my, you've got to look up at that top right camera for this as well. You're going to play the note, and you can see I just flick it off ever so slightly. I kind of exaggerated a bit much there. I want to kind of just flick it ever so slightly as I come off. That's the effect we want. And when you play it a little bit quicker, because the notes will sustain a bit easily as you play with a little bit more speed, you find that will be a bit easier. If you do it slowly, it's dying a little bit before I did the pull off, so that the emphasis on the next note will be lost a little. But if you do it a bit quicker, you notice that it goes straight in with no problem at all. So this phrase, very slow, is a hammer on, C D on the third, and then the pluck note, then the open on that second, and then I'm back up on the C string, pull off and flick it. And like I said, that's played over the C notes in the chorus. You hear it played on the in between the C, on the C chord in between the C and the F. So. Just give you an idea of where you'll hear it. So if you hear that, the best thing to do is listen to the song, pick it out, see if you can hear it, imitate it, try and play along. And like if you've got someone playing that C, even if you play it slightly in the wrong place or slightly ahead of time or slightly out of time, it still adds something. It still sounds very musical because we're playing the right notes that are in the key. So and it's better to play something and give it a go and get used to playing it and not worry too much if you're slightly out. It's really just practice that phrase, and the more you practice it, the better you get, obviously, and then you'll be able to throw that in over the song. So that's the riff. And you can just pluck them. But you can hear it sounds slightly cooler when you put those little hammer and pull-offs. Adds a little bit more fluency. It just sounds a little bit more professional, a little bit cooler. So obviously, if you can practice just doing, even if you just do the hammer on or just the pull-off, just practice with one, whatever's easier. Obviously, get the notes right first. You might have a lot on your plate with the rhythm and feel that riff is just taking you a little bit too far at the moment. This is something you can come back to later when you've really got the reggae rhythm down. That's really the most important thing in this video, is getting that reggae rhythm and feel right. So there you go, and I'll do another little play along in a minute. I'll do another video and I'll get a play along ready for you. But for the moment, that's the exercise video. They're the things to focus on that will really add something to Three Little Birds. So I'll see you again soon. Take it easy.